Well, my dear mystics, welcome back to the Dani Mystery Zone, where the shadows serve tea with a side of extraterrestrial spice tonight. So we're gonna dive headfirst into this cosmic chaos called 3i Atlas. Yep, that sassy exoplanet that got everyone's telescopes twerking. So throw on your sassiest shades and let's investigate this mystery. So you already expected it because of Baba Vanga, of course, but there is some new, really unbelievable, spectacular information out about that interstellar object, which is called 3i Atlas. So that is wandering throughout our solar system. But now it behaves extremely strange again. There's some glaring new information that is worldwide coming out that no one has expected this way. For example, the US government has leaked secret UFO files or UAP files and has announced they would work together with Russia to release more evidence about UFOs. And now there's another interstellar object out in space that appeared out of nowhere in addition to this 3i Atlas. So there are images and probes sent by 3i Atlas and so much more. At this point, it seems almost as if we are being prepared for something big to happen soon. And perhaps the first official contact with extraterrestrials will finally take place. I would like to give you a quick rundown of all the new information that currently exists on this topic. So let's start with 3i Atlas and that strange new object. First of all, 3i Atlas is currently still on its course through our solar system, and the strange anomalies that have already been reported about this unusually shaped object in the cosmos could still not be they have still not been explained, and now even new ones have emerged. For example, it has been noticed that 3i Atlas is accelerating once again, seemingly without a logical explanation behind. So it seems the acceleration to be able to steer itself independently, almost as if this object had a controllable propulsion system like a rocket or even a spaceship. And there are now also the first images from amateur astronomers like hobby sky watchers who have managed to get a glimpse of 3i Atlas. 3i Atlas is still so far away, though, that those images are not clear enough to provide 100% proof. But initial analysis of those photos reportedly show that not only the shape of 3i Atlas is super strange, but also that a sample or probe, depending whatever you want to call it, was released from this object, or more even. Since 3i Atlas appeared, many people have suspected that it is an alien spacecraft capable of flying drones, of releasing them. So one shouldn't expect this large spacecraft to simply fly to Earth or somehow to other planets, but rather it would send out probes, maybe like it happened in Scandinavia. As drones monitoring things, looking at things, making contact. Many see this separation from an unidentifiable object as evidence that a drone is involved, currently en route to Mars, for example, to examine more closely, because 3i Atlas is currently near Mars. In addition, 3i Atlas has just started glowing even brighter than you could ever imagine it would be explainable in any other way. So in short, One can say that 3i Atlas continues to show strange anomalies that still cannot be explained, and it seems as if a new anomaly appears every day. It feels like it, but the most striking message was that 3i Atlas is no longer alone. There's a new, supposedly interstellar object. Some say it isn't interstellar, others say it is. It is called SWAN. SWAN appears seemingly out of nowhere, is 100 times larger than 3i Atlas. Who has thought of this name? SWAN is so much better and is now moving in the opposite direction through our solar system. Like, is this some kind of Star Wars battle? While 3i Atlas is coming from the other side of the sun, SWAN is now coming in from the exact opposite side. They are both traveling through our solar system at the same time, and SWAN is probably a bit closer to us than 3i Atlas is. Two strange objects flying through our solar system. This is already certainly remarkable, but according to some experts and amateur astronomers, it's actually not just two objects that are currently here. SWAN might be just the fourth object that cannot be precisely defined and is currently flying through. Many are certain that this is just another one, a spaceship from, for example, the same civilization or another extraterrestrial civilization that is also trying to contact us now. For example, those extraterrestrial civilizations are connected to each other and now want to talk to us humans simultaneously, somehow wanting to initiate the first real contact. This means that right now several objects are flying in space that we haven't noticed, which suddenly appeared and aren't behaving in a logical way, while 3i Atlas is truly a big mystery. Well, with SWAN, it must be said, there's still a definite possibility that it's just a completely boring, normie, dull comet, SWAN's anomalies aren't so serious that we have to really worry about them too much. That is why I would be really cautious about that. But with 3i Atlas, of course, things look a bit different. People are relatively clueless about it, so that means there are these super crass reports about 3i Atlas and SWAN on one side. But these are not the only UFO infos that we have received. For example, there was an incident in China where all of a sudden, apparently on September the 12th, a UFO flew over a Chinese city and was shot down. No information has yet been released about this incident. There are only witness accounts and cell phone footage that is showing a strange object flying through the sky, shining brightly, and suddenly being struck by a missile that was fired from the ground and then exploded. People still don't know what was shot down there. A drone, a meteorite, an airplane, or as many people suspect, possibly even an extraterrestrial spaceship that tried to make contact or started to malfunction, burn, and had to be shut down because it posed a danger to a city or people. For example, this also means here is something very inexplicable again. And of course, no one has officially commented yet, as this is generally how they roll in China. Whatever it is simply kept secret. But speaking of secrecy, there's another huge news story. The US government just made public the files surrounding the crash of the UFO or weather balloon in Roswell, New Mexico. I am sure we all are familiar with Roswell by now. So many decades ago, people watched in complete awe as a strange spaceship crashed from the sky in the New Mexico desert near Roswell. And immediately strange government cars from the CSI, FBI, CIA, whatever arrived and controlled the area, so no one was allowed to go there. No one was allowed to take any pictures. At the time it was announced that it was just a simple weather balloon and nothing more, which was extremely strange, since all the witness reports claimed otherwise. Now, pictures of the Roswell crash have been released and many are shocked because the object they see looks exactly like the eyewitness reports described the UFO back in the day. Why they are shocked? They should be feeling like redeemed or something. The wreckage found there looked nothing like a weather balloon or anything like it, but rather than a spaceship, like an alien UFO that we've never seen before, or have we? And that's completely different from our technology, of course. And some people even claim they have found actual evidence of aliens in the now published images. Hey, not a UFO, UAP, but an actual alien corpse, lying in the picture. Look at it. Many people are now saying, of course they have sharpened the image and whatnot, they say that this object, which is at the edge of the photo, definitely looks like a classic and maybe a classy gray alien. Anyone else getting flashbacks to the most awful scene of E.T.? So, what exactly this creature is, whether it's just perhaps maybe a strange looking piece of wreckage, some desert tentacles or real alien, it cannot be confirmed, but many people are certain that the US government made a mistake here and they didn't realize that an actual alien was depicted in this picture. My take is maybe some intern was too busy with his apps on the phone to notice while hitting this publish button, but who knows? Believe this or be skeptical, but this is why the internet is on fire again at the moment. And also the US government has announced that they want to work with Russia to share finally information about UFOs, UAPs, and aliens. Many people are certain that this is a further step on the way to soon having clear evidence of extraterrestrials, and that it will soon be officially announced so that we can all be at peace. Now that we are, as humans, are prepared, that how we should behave, the proper etiquette if it really comes to the first contact. But my opinion is they dragged it out so long that many people will just yawn at this point, like, okay, aliens, who cares? But yeah, there are other smaller pieces of information which are nevertheless very interesting. For example, a triangular UFO like, a collusion Dorito, was discovered over the US and it could not be identified. Some say it's possibly a drone show. Others believe it's definitely a spaceship, or at least a military object. And there was recently a statement from NASA that there's evidence, or rather very strong suspicion, that not only single-celled organisms lived on Mars, but that many different life forms once called Mars their home. Like, Elon Musk. There's life on Mars. In other words, that life on Mars was more advanced, or at least more diverse, in the original sense of the word, than we currently would expect. So, these are all news that have been coming out like within 1 week. All these stories, 3i Atlas, the SWAN, the UFO, and the China, the Roswell, vintage photography, ephemera. And if you're interested in this whole topic, please let me know in the comments or give this video a tiny little like, and I'll follow up further, do more research or whatever, and give you more information. But that's definitely this video for now. I hope you enjoyed it a wee tiny bit, and I'll see you on the next one in whatever I'm going to do here in the Dani Mystery Zone. Until then, stay curious, my dear mystics.